What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the two new infrastructure slash stimulus packages, as well as what is going on in the world today. Part of the big negotiations going on right now is how President Biden plans to pay for the next infrastructure package and maybe part of the stimulus package. Traditionally, all of the past stimulus packages nobody paid for. Six stimulus packages have been passed already. Five underneath former President Donald Trump, one underneath President Biden, and nobody paid for them. They just went on the national debt. If we don't even count those six stimulus packages, we already run a deficit. The government already spends more money than they take in. So the question is, who's going to pay for those past stimulus packages? Well, nobody. However, President Biden wanted to raise taxes on corporations and wealthy individuals before he even came into office. It's just part of his agenda. And they're now continuing on with that. And they say they want to raise taxes to help pay for part of the infrastructure and the next stimulus package, the American Families Plan. Here is the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, on tax raises and what will happen if they don't raise taxes, if they're not able to pass the bill without the tax raises. Also, don't forget to hit the like button for us. It really helps out our channel. All right, here we go.
There's quite a few Democratic senators that are now talking about the idea of maybe we don't need to raise all of these taxes. And you just made a case, for instance, on infrastructure that, these are investments and that they're worthy of deficit spending. If this bill comes back to the president without these pay-fors, the president's still going to sign it?
Well, I'm not going to speak for what the president will do in the negotiation, but he has made clear that he believes that permanent increases in spending should be paid for, and I agree. I think we're in a good fiscal position. Interest rates are historically low. They've been that way for a long time, and it's likely they'll stay that way into the future. But we do need fiscal space to be able to address emergencies like the one that we've been in with respect to the pandemic. We don't want to use up all of that fiscal space, and over the long run, deficits need to be contained to keep our federal finances on a sustainable basis. So I believe that we should pay for these historic investments. There will be a big return. I expect productivity to rise. Right. There will be great returns from investing in research and development and enabling families to participate with paid leave and child care support in the workforce. So I think it's true that a stronger economy will generate more tax revenues, but I think the safest thing is to pay for them, and we're doing it in a way that's fair. Okay. I should also mention that an important way of paying for this is increasing tax compliance. It's estimated that underpayment of taxes that are really due is costing us, the federal government, about $7 trillion over a decade, and there's an important proposal here to increase compliance, to fund the IRS so that, and this is a matter of fairness, to increase and collect the tax revenue that's due under our tax code.
Another thing that the White House is trying to push for is a global minimum tax to try to get allies and multiple different countries across the world to agree to a global minimum corporate tax rate. As you can see here, the Biden economic advisor has pushed global corporate tax minimum to counteract the proposed U.S. corporate tax increase. Quote, the idea is to make sure that corporations are paying their fair share, to button up some of the loopholes, which have meant more corporations who are actually putting more money offshore, off of U.S. soil, and having a global minimum tax so that we're working with the rest of our trading partners, so that we're working with the rest of the world, so that corporations are paying their fair share worldwide. Quote, President Biden is really saying, look, everybody should pay their fair share. Yes, internationally, we don't want to be disadvantaged. So he's working with other countries so that we have a minimum tax internationally so that there's not a race to the bottom amongst different countries. The US corporate tax rate used to be 35% back in 2016, and the Trump tax cuts of 2017 lowered it all the way from 35% all the way down to 21%. President Biden now wants to raise that up from 21% to 28%, which is kind of a middle ground from where it used to be, although he's getting severe pushback from Republicans. We probably won't see a single Republican vote on a tax increase. I don't know, maybe a few, but surely not enough to pass. And even some Democrats are against any type of tax increase. Although Senator Joe Manchin, who's been one of the kind of very iffy votes when it comes down to every one of these stimulus packages, although he has voted yes on all of them ultimately when all was said and done, said that he is not for a 28% tax for corporations, but he is willing to do 25%. So yeah, it's a matter of just small details here when it comes sometimes to negotiating these packages. Republican Senator Josh Hawley, who used to be one of the main proponent pushers or main people who pushed for a stimulus check in the past from the Republican side, is now coming out saying that he wants $1,000 stimulus checks every single month for some people. As you can see here, Republican Senator Josh Hawley, a Republican from Missouri, proposed a new legislation or a new bill that would create a parent tax credit, a tax cut of up to $12,000 per year, or could be paid with advanced stimulus checks or advanced tax credits of $1,000 per month, which is intended to help working parents start a family and raise children. Senator Josh Hawley believes that the current child care programs are unfair to parents. For example, Hawley says that the child and dependent care tax credit and similar federal policies require both parents to work or to force parents to enroll their child in formal commercial child care programs. Now, note this is for child care credits. Josh Hawley prefers a solution that is flexible to allow working families to care for their children at home. Under Josh Hawley's proposed plan, here are the key features to this plan. Fully refundable tax credits of $1,000 per month or $12,000 per year for married parents. Remember, fully refundable tax credits basically means it can be paid with a stimulus check in advance. The stimulus check itself is actually a refundable tax credit, and it's an advanced refundable tax credit because they pay it to you in advance. They don't make you wait to file your tax return, although that does happen to some people. If they don't end up getting it, they have to claim it on their tax return because it is actually a refundable tax credit. The child tax credits that are already passed from the third stimulus check package, which is going to pay out $3,000 for children over the age of 6 through 17 and $3,600 for children under the age of 6, and is going to start monthly stimulus payments or advanced refundable tax credits of $250 to $300 per month, is expected to start in July. Although Republican Senator Josh Hawley's proposal, which is from the Republican side, would actually drastically increase that to, as you can see here, $1,000 per month or $12,000 per year for married parents or married filing jointly on a tax return. Fully refundable tax credits of $500 per month or $6,000 per year for single parents, and it would be available to families with a child under the age of 13. Now, this particular one, this bill, there is no income phase out, and single parents must report prior year earnings of at least $7,520 or $40, which is $20 per week, earning the minimum wage. Now, note that the current child tax credits of $3,000 to $3,600 that are going to be paid out in these monthly stimulus checks of $250 to $300 per month, you don't need any earned income at all for that. They changed a rule in the third stimulus check package when they passed that. So you can claim that as long as you have a child under the age of 17 and you basically have a social security number and make below the income requirements, which is the same as the third stimulus check. So if you have the income requirements of you don't make too much money, you don't make more than 75 or $80,000 per person, and you got the third stimulus check, and you have a Social Security number, you're going to get these as well as long as you have a child under the age of 17. Okay, monthly stimulus payments of $250 to $300 per month. Josh Hawley's proposal is to increase that to $1,000 per month for a married filing jointly couple, or $500 per month for a single parent. And you would need earned income for this particular bill of $7,500 per year or more. Now, here's the interesting part. Parents would be advanced on a monthly basis, so they would get monthly stimulus checks, just like this. Recipients could elect to receive a lump sum payment when they file their federal tax return, the same as for the child tax credits that are there now. But get this tax credit would be in addition to the child tax credit that is already $3,000 to $3,600 per month. That would be absolutely amazing. Again, if you have children, this is basically a form of guaranteed monthly income. And remember, the $250 to $300 per month is already passed, but this would add an additional $500 to $1,000 per month every single month. So again, if you have children, these child tax credits are literally the greatest thing since sliced bread. Remember, I don't make the bills. I don't make the stimulus checks or anything. I just report to you what's going on. I dive deep into the stuff. I read between the lines. I watch interviews and also read through bills and everything like that. But remember, I don't make the bills. So if you don't have children, unfortunately, this particular bill is not for you. Don't be mad at me because I don't make the bills. But if you do have children, it's absolutely an amazing provision that could be included in this next stimulus package. And the $250 to $300 per month is already passed, and that's from the third stimulus check package. And they're looking to expand that to the year 2025 or possibly permanently. So I'll keep you up to date on this. Now, if you don't have children, there's actually an adult earned income tax credit or an adult tax credit that I have a link to down below in the description of this video. If you're an adult and don't have children, you can qualify for that. I have a whole video that kind of goes over it in more detail, linked down below in the description. So you could qualify for that. There's a child tax credit and an adult tax credit, okay? But there's also the fourth stimulus check, and we know that the momentum is heating up for that now that they're kind of trying to figure out what items they want to include in this next package, the American Families Package. And we have the new $2,000 per month bill from Senator Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren for $2,000 monthly stimulus checks that would go until the government declares the pandemic is over, which would be sometime in the near future where virus cases are extremely low and the government says, okay, it's time to cancel the state of emergency that we're in, and we're going to declare the pandemic over officially by the government. That would be at least 6 months from now at the bare minimum. And that's if everything goes according to plan. Right now, we're actually seeing the highest amount of positive virus cases per day in the entire world, as India alone is getting about 400,000 new positive virus cases per day. And the problem with, I mean, just India or any particular country being that bad is it spreads, right? It spreads. I mean, think about how we even got coronavirus. It didn't start in the US, it started in China, and one person got it, and then another person got it, and then another person got it, and then poof, it spread literally like a virus. So the problem with 1 million people catching the virus per day right now is, again, it spreads over the whole world and eventually will bleed into the US. And our cases are kind of steady, have been going up a little bit since a low that we reached recently, but they are trending upwards. And the problem is that the entire world is at an all-time high right now of virus cases. So that really just calls for the need for more stimulus, and we're probably going to be in this for a longer duration than most people want. We're starting to see some states completely open up, kind of against President Biden and the White House's wishes, as they've kind of been urging these states to not open up, not get rid of mask mandates, because if people stop wearing masks, we could go right back to where we used to be. We actually had in the US an all-time high of 300,000 new cases at one point, and we were having more deaths per day than Pearl Harbor or 9/11 happening every single day at one point. We're about a third of that at this point, but remember, we can go back to that at any given point, and vaccines will become less effective going forward as these strains kind of mutate more and more. We now have double mutated strains in the US and across the globe now. And the more these strains mutate, the kind of farther away they get from the initial vaccine, which is the original COVID-19 virus or variant that they made the vaccines on. We're now multiple different strains in. In fact, the most dominant strain is not even the original virus anymore. So both Pfizer and Moderna are already saying that there's going to need a booster shot or a third shot. After you get your first two, you'll probably have to get a third one now, anywhere from 6 to 12 months later. And the Pfizer and Moderna CEO both have talked about how it's very likely that these vaccines will become yearly vaccines, similar to the flu shot, where you go, if you get a flu shot, you go and get a flu shot every fall before the flu season, and every year in the strain that you get shot in your arm from a flu shot, it's actually a slightly different virus variant vaccine in there every year, because the flu is very similar to COVID-19 in this point, in that they basically mutate every single year. So every year, if you get a flu shot, there's a slightly different variation of the shot in there. And I think that that's most likely what's going to happen to COVID-19. And we're probably looking at yearly vaccine shots if you get them. And again, we've talked about on this channel how they're becoming mandatory in some places. 60% of businesses in a recent survey said they're going to make them mandatory, or else you might not be able to work there. And the possibility of this happening in the future for school children, as all 50 states already require vaccines for multiple different vaccines. Each state is a little bit different, but to send your kid to school, there's already several different vaccines, such as measles, mumps, and rubella, polio, chickenpox, that they have to get vaccinated for, or they can't go to public school. So uh, the COVID vaccine could very likely be added in there in the next year or so. I mean, this literally did shut down our country. So it's not too crazy to think that they won't add that into the list of already vaccines that your children need to get to go to school. Let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know if you think that will be happening, as we're kind of pushing towards that in the future. But we'll have to see what happens. But I'll keep you up to date here on our daily show of everything that's happening in the United States right now, all the hot topics, as well as the fourth stimulus check and the next stimulus package and all the other provisions. Yesterday, I mentioned that we could see the Fed and maybe even the government starting to feel the pressure of inflation due to the trillions of dollars that they're spending. And I told you that instead of buying gold, like physical gold bars and coins, I saw that gold mining companies have the potential to rally as much as 400% in as little as 8 months. And I even showed you an example of one. Unfortunately, the ship has sailed on that company, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that the same management company has started another company, which has not really yet left the station, so to speak. Guys, if gold begins rallying again, you know what company I'll be looking at. It's Nevada King Corporation, and I have a link to their company down below where you can check out their stock as well as the company itself. So click the link down below in the description of this video to check that out, or you can click this video from last night where I talk about it some more and stimulus updates. Click on that video or this video down below next, and I will see you in the next video.